Today's video is going to be another therapy roleplay. This session is around validating when progress does not seem linear and being able to see that you are still making progress even when it feels a little bit wibbly wobbly. If you have enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could give me a like, and if you are interested in more content from me, please subscribe. As always, if you have any requests that you would like to see from me, please put them in the comments and I will definitely take inspiration from your suggestions. In this video, you can either keep your eyes open or close your eyes. It is entirely up to you. I leave that decision in your hands. But either way, hopefully you get a nice, relaxing experience. Welcome back. Come in. How are you doing today? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, why don't we go and get settled for the session? Have a seat, make yourself comfortable. There's no rush at all. You get settled in nicely and feel free to make yourself at home. Can I get you anything? Would you like water or a cup of tea? No? Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Let me know if you change your mind. Before we get into the session today, I just want to make sure that we are grounded and ready to do some work. So, I'm going to count down with you, and if you can think about really settling yourself as I count for you. So I'm going to count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just take a breath for me there, and then we'll do it again. So think about really sinking into the space, knowing that you're safe here, knowing that everything's okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one more little breath for me. Great. And then once more, we're going to count down to really make sure that you're ready and grounded for the session. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So, how have you been this week? Well, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, so it sounds like there's a little bit of feeling discouraged there. Okay, yeah. Well, tell me more about that. What's been going on for you? Yeah. Okay, so there's a feeling that you're going backwards a little bit. Yeah. Okay, like there was a bit of forwards and then you've got a little bit stuck. Or maybe even further back. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. So it feels like you've lost some of your progress. Right. Yeah, I can imagine that does feel a bit frustrating, and how that would make you kind of question what you've been doing. Can I tell you something that could resonate with you? Something that could kind of capture your experience. It might not feel like it's completely true right away, but it could help. Okay. So, imagine we were taking a walk together through a forest with old trees dappled in sunlight, destination in mind and somewhere you're trying to get to, and we walk together. And the path doesn't go straight to where you want to get to, does it? It winds, it curves around the trees, it follows the natural contours of the land, and sometimes it might go uphill a little bit and feel a bit harder. Sometimes it feels like, yes, I'm getting somewhere, I'm making progress towards where I'd like to be. And then it goes back downhill, and you think, hang on, am I going back the way I came? Am I losing height? What's happening? And sometimes it feels like the path gets very narrow, and maybe there's leaves covering it or plants, and it feels a little bit overgrown, and you kind of have to muddle your way through that undergrowth and trust that you're still heading in the right direction, even though it feels like there's no path at all anymore. Sometimes it might split, and you could have to come to a choice of which is the right way to go, and maybe you choose one way and walk for a while and realise it's not right. But the beauty of that is it's never too late to turn around if you've gone in the wrong direction. It's never too late, never, never, never too late. Sometimes we might get to a clearing and we can't see exactly what it is we're heading towards, and you realise it might look further away than it did before, even though we've been walking towards it and it feels like you've been putting a lot of effort in. Does any of that path sound familiar with your story? Yeah. Well, that is because that's what growth looks like, and that's what healing looks like. That's what growth looks like, and it's what healing looks like, and it's what most meaningful journeys look like. They're not a straight line and a highway where you can see everything clearly and just drive directly towards it, but it's this winding path that curves and loops and sometimes goes back on itself a little bit. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that you're lost. It doesn't mean that you're lost. And it certainly doesn't mean that your effort has been wasted. I know it can feel like that, yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it means that you're doing things in real time, and that you're on a journey, not an imaginary one where everything fits into place, but you're trying to do things around everything that is going on for you. So in those times when it feels like you're going backwards, and when it feels like you've returned to old patterns, then how would it be if we consider reframing things in a different way? What if you're not going backwards? What if you're circling around a little bit and coming back to address something that perhaps you haven't, something that you needed to heal, but maybe you weren't ready the first time you went past it? Think about if you were to walk down a spiral staircase, you keep passing the same point and the same spot on the wall, but each time you walk past it, you're somewhere different on the staircase. Each time you walk past it, you're somewhere different on the staircase. You're not staying in the same place, but it might feel like it if you only look at the same spot on the wall. If you only look on the same spot on the wall. But sometimes we need to come back and revisit things. Sometimes we need to see them from a different angle. And sometimes we need to have got a little stronger, a little more understanding, and a little more wisdom before we can really face what needs facing. I think somewhere along the way it seems to be instilled into us that growth only looks like one thing, and we're only doing well if we're constantly moving. And maybe it comes from school, maybe it comes from family, or maybe just that kind of hustle culture, that we're living in. But somewhere something has told us that progress is one thing, and you constantly have to move, and you constantly have to do something, sometimes we will struggle with those old patterns again, even when we have really solid coping mechanisms. But it doesn't mean that we've gone backwards, it just means that maybe we need to take time to regroup and heal and look after ourselves until things are feeling settled again. I think it'd be nice if things could be that perfect sort of slotting into place kind of way, and it'd be good if things were like that, but that's just not life. It's fantasy, and it makes us feel like we're not doing as well as we are, when actually we're not doing too badly at all. Growth is messy, and it's sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and sometimes it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back, and it's a setback. But if we can learn something new from it, keep going, then eventually we will start to feel better. But that chaos and that non-linear feel, that's still progress, and it's still you moving forward, even when it really doesn't feel like it. That path that we walk together, it winds, but it does still lead somewhere. You're still going on your journey. You haven't lost your way because the path isn't straight. You haven't failed because you can't see exactly where you're going. You haven't wasted your time just because it's taking longer than you thought it would. In fact, often the winding path is the only way to get where you need to go, and the straight path just doesn't exist. It was never an option in the first place. So maybe you can stop judging yourself for not taking it. How is this landing with you right now? What are you feeling? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I want to oversimplify it for you, and I certainly do not want to minimize what you're feeling, because it's valid, it's completely valid, but I don't want you to feel like you have to stay stuck or that you're not doing really well, because you are. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah, I get that. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you are. Yeah, that winding path, yeah. We learn things along on that winding path. And it teaches things that the straight path could never ever teach us. So yeah. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of learning there that you've done. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You absolutely have, yeah. You have found your way through that undergrowth, and sometimes it feels like you're still in it. Yeah, but it feels like that's a bit more manageable. Yeah. Yeah. And when you get to that choice, nobody should choose that for you. You can absolutely 100% trust yourself to make your own choice for that. Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. The straight path would be easier, and it would be nice to just be able to know what we need to be able to get a certain way, but wouldn't give you the growth that you need to be able to get to the end of that journey and learn new things. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, so while the winding path is slower and harder, and maybe it makes us feel quite frustrated every now and then, it helps to teach you, and it gives you the tools for you to learn. And when you arrive and you've learned how to navigate that path, which will mean that the path is easier to navigate next time. It doesn't mean it'll never come up, but it does mean that you'll have better tools to be able to work with it. how would it be if we stop measuring progress by how straight the path is and how easy the path is, and stop judging yourself for a little bit of a pause now and then and for circling back round, and notice that we're still going. You're still turning up. You came to your session today, and that's incredible. You know, you haven't given up, and even though there's days when it really feels like you're going backwards and you can't see where you're going, even on those days, you're still showing up. You're still on the path. That matters so much more than how easy the path is. It'd be good if you could think about what you have learned along the way, even on the difficult parts, actually, especially on the difficult parts, especially on the difficult parts. What coping skills have you learned? What strategies have you put in place? And what tools have you got that makes things easier for you? That's all a part of your path, and none of it's wasted. Even those parts that you really wish you could have skipped. Even the parts where you feel like maybe you've got a little bit lost. So, here is your permission, if that's what you feel you need. Your path does not have to look like anyone else's. Your path does not have to look like anyone else's. You are on your own path, not anyone else's path. And your progress does not have to be linear. Your progress does not have to be linear. And your journey does not have to be neat and tidy and make sense to anyone else. And your healing has no timeline or plan or anyone's expectations around how it should. Go loud and encouraged to wind, to loop back, to rest, regroup and take the scenic route. You're allowed to get lost. You're allowed to choose the wrong path and forgive yourself for choosing the wrong path. And you're allowed to take absolutely all the time that you need. You're still going and you're still growing. You're still exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. Even if you can't see how far you've come. This path knows where it's going, even when you don't. How would it feel to trust it a little bit and trust yourself a little bit more? Trust that windings aren't wrong and that setbacks aren't the end, and that you're on your way even when it isn't clear. That path winds, but it leads somewhere that is so worth leading to, and you're on it, you're walking it, and I'm right here beside you. And when it feels a little bit frustrating, you're still on the path and you're still making your way. I get that it doesn't feel great, and that it's hard, and that it can be discouraging and exhausting. Sometimes you really feel like you just want to give up. But you haven't. You're here. You're trying. You're still willing to walk the path, even though it's difficult. And that's why rest is important too, to be able to cope with the effort that you're putting in. So, put some trust in the path and trust yourself. You are doing so much better than you think you are. You are further along than you realise. And I'm glad that you're here, walking the path, in your way, at your pace, with every detour and every turn. So, when you feel like you don't know where the path is leading, even when you feel a little bit lost, keep going, and the path knows where it's taking you, even if you don't. You are 100% putting the work in. You are. You're doing so well. Yeah. Yeah. Do you sit back and notice those achievements? I do. I notice exactly how well you're doing, and you're doing really well. So, why don't yourself.